Good day, sir. I'm Jetro Clyde Balinton. The purpose of this video is to discuss the Article 18, 19, and 20. So, Article 18 is accomplices. Accomplices are those persons who are not being included in Article 17. Cooperate in the execution of the offense by previous or simultaneous acts. So, requisites. An accomplice has knowledge of the criminal design of the principal, and all he does is concur with the purpose, and there must be a relation between the acts done by the principal and those attributed the person charged as accomplice. Last bullet is in homicide or murder, the accomplice must not have inflicted the mortal wound. Number 1, there be a community of design. Principal originates the design, accomplice only concurs. And number 2 is he cooperates in the execution by previous or simultaneous acts intending to give material and moral aid. Cooperation must be knowing done. It must be also necessary and not indispensable. And number 3 is there be a relation between the acts of the principal and the alleged accomplice. So example, Juan was choking Pedro, then Tomas ran up and hit Pedro with a bamboo stick. Juan continued to choke Pedro until he was dead, and Tomas is only an accomplice because the fatal blow came from Juan. And B, lending a dagger to a killer, knowing the latter purpose. And in Article 19 is accessories, and accessories are those who, having knowledge of the commission of the crime and without having participated therein, either as principal or accomplices, take part subsequent to its commission of any the following manners. Number 1, by profiting themselves or assisting the offender to profit by the effects of the crime. Number 2, by concealing or destroying the body of the crime or effects of the instrument thereof in order to prevent its discovery. And number 3 is by harboring, concealing, or assisting in the escape of the principal of the crime, provided the accessory acts with abuse of his public function, or whenever the author of the crime is guilty of treason, parricide, murder, or an attempt to take the life of the chief executive, or is known to be habitually guilty of some other crime. Example number 1, a person receive a used property from another knowing it's stolen. Example number 2 is placing a weapon in the hand of the dead who was unlawfully killed to plant evidence, or burying the deceased who was killed by the principals. And example number 3 is a public officer who harbor, conceal to assist in the escape of the principal of any crime, not light felony with the abuse of his public functions. B, a private person who harbor, conceal, or assist in the escape of the author of the crime, guilty of treason, parricide, murder, or an attempt against the life of the president, or who known to be habitually guilty of some crime. General rule: principal acquitted, accessory also acquitted. And exception: when the crime was in fact committed but the principal is covered by exempting circumstances. So example, minor stole a ring, and Juan, knowing it was stolen, both it minor is exempt, Juan liable as accessory. Bullet 1 is trial of accessory may proceed without awaiting the result of the separate charge against the principal because the criminal responsibilities are distinct from each other. And liability of the accessory. The responsibility of accessory is subordinate to that of principal in the crime because the accessory's participation therein is subsequent to its commission, and his guilt is directly related to the principal. If the principal was acquitted by an exempting circumstance, the necessary may still be held liable. And last bullet, difference of accessories from principal and accomplice. Number 1 is accessory does not take direct part or cooperate in or induce the commission of the crime. Number 2 is accessory does not cooperate in the commission of the offense by acts either prior thereto or simultaneous therewith. And number 3 is participation of accessory in all cases always takes place after the commission of the crime. And last is takes part in the crime through his knowledge of the commission of the offense. So the last article is Article 20, are accessories who are exempted from criminal liability. The penalties prescribed for accessories shall not be imposed upon those who are such with respect for the spouse, ascendants, descendants, legitimate or natural, and adopted brother and sisters, or relatives by affinity within the same degrees, with the single exception of accessories falling within the provision of the paragraph 1 of the next preceding article. So the basis is ties of blood and the preservation of the cleanliness of one's name, which compels one to conceal crimes committed by relatives so near as those mentioned. And nephew and niece not included. Accessory not exempt when helped a relative principal by profiting from effects of the crime or assisted of the offender to profit from effects of the crime. And only accessories covered by paragraph 2 and 3 are exempted. And public officer who helped his guilty of brother escape does not incur criminal liability. Ties of blood constitute of the power incentive than the call of duty. And the penalty, the suffering inflicted by the state for the transgression of law, juridical condition of penalty. Number 1 is retribution or expiation. Penalty is commensurate with the gravity of the offense. Correction or reformation. Rules of regulate execution of penalties consisting of deprivation of liberty. Number 3 is social defense, inflexible severity of recidivists and habitually delinquents. And A, must be productive of suffering limited on the integrity of human personality. B, must be proportionate to the crime sanction according to the gravity of the crime committed. And C, must be personal, imposed only upon the criminal, no proxy. And D, must be legal according to a judgment or fact and law. And E, must be equal, applies to everyone regardless of the circumstances. And last is must be correctional, intended to provide positive rehabilitation to the offender. So in Article 18, Complices, it talks about the cooperation of the execution, either previous or simultaneous acts. So in example, Juan was choking Pedro, then Tomas ran up and hit Pedro with a bamboo stick. and continued to choke Pedro until he was dead, and na Tomas only the accomplice because the fatal blow came from Juan. And in Article 19 it is about the having knowledge of the commission of a crime and without the person participated therein either as principal or accomplices, and has part subsequent of its commission in any following manner. So number one, by profiting themselves or assisting the offender, profit by the effects of the crime. So kani nagatabang or usa siya nagka-cooperate sa crime. And number two is concealing and destroying the body of the crime. For example is there is a knife na tubali manghud nimo ang nag-commit sa crime, then gitabangan nimo siya nga taguon ang knife para malis ang evidence na makuha sa mga expert. So number 3 is harboring or concealing, assisting in the escape of the principals of the crime. So gitabangan nimo nga makatago ang isa ka principal para dili siya madakop para o mapinaltihan sa mga na-commit na crime. And the Article 20 is accessories who are exempted for criminal liability. So the exempted from criminal liability is the spouse, descendants, legitimate, natural or adopted brothers or sisters or relatives affinity within the same degrees. So in this article there is exemption in spouse, but there is an exemption of exemption. And for example imong anak nag-commit of crime, then imo siyang gipatago. So that is an example of exemption kay imo raman siyang gitago. But if ang imong anak is nangawat, then itago nimo siya kay kabalo ka nga tagaad kanya kwarta reward. So ikaw dili na ka exempt sa accessory. So naana ka sa Article 19 accessories na. So I think that's all. Thank you, and thank you for watching. Have a good day.